Well, our traps are awesome, so it's probably 8 years. Well, when was the last time we did a survey, and how old are those traps really? There's a lot of good information on the internet about this. There's some Department of Energy tip sheets that you can find if you Google search DOE tip sheets, steam tip sheets. But just to kind of sum it up for you, really two reasons: efficiency and safety. So efficiency, if I have traps that have failed open, they're still draining condensate from that steam header or that piece of equipment, but they're also allowing live steam to flow back to my condensate return system, which in many cases involves a vented receiver. So that live steam is just blowing directly out of the building, and that's a lot of valuable BTUs and water that we're just letting go because this trap has failed. Typical trap life, I want to say that the Department of Energy tip sheet says average trap life is like 3 to 8 years, which is a pretty wide band, 3 to 8 years. But if we say, okay, well, our traps are awesome, so it's probably 8 years. Well, when was the last time we did a survey, and how old are those traps really? And how many traps do we actually have? Most plants can't answer that because they haven't tracked their traps or serialized them or in any way. And oftentimes they don't even know how many they have or where they all are because it's a huge facility and it's a legacy system or something. So certainly something to get your arms around. So efficiency, I think that's easy. Everybody understands that if they fail open. But what happens if they fail closed? Well, if it's a process trap that's like on the outlet of a heat exchanger or something, you're going to know because that process isn't working right. And the side effect is, downtime, which is a problem. But it can be a little more insidious and a bigger safety hazard if it's like a drip trap. So a trap that's on a drip leg in a steam distribution system that could be halfway across campus or halfway across the building or somewhere far remote from the boiler room where there's not a trained steam guy walking around that's going to notice. And when that trap fails or plugs, it could be that it doesn't get noticed until next year. We shut the system down, we go to bring the system back up, and that trap's not functioning, and we send a slug of condensate away from that drip leg, and it hammers and breaks something downline. That would be a pretty insidious failure. People can definitely get hurt pretty badly by water hammer happening in a steam system. Oftentimes also when that trap fails, if it happens to be a drip leg that's in a steam tunnel or outdoors or something like that, it could cause a freezing failure where that pipe is going to split because that condensate backed up and wasn't being drained properly. When it splits, then now there's a steam leak. It melts that ice plug, and now we've got a pretty dangerous high-pressure steam leak that's going to burn somebody and be a real problem. And it may be in such a place that we can't really shut the system down to isolate that part of the system and take care of it. So it could also be, pretty substantial downtime if you have one failed shut and it causes a freezing issue. So sometimes you'll see drip legs that are heat traced, electrically heat traced, but sometimes heat tracing is done with steam. And so then obviously it's just going to freeze that and cause all kinds of issues. So anyway, hopefully that kind of sums up why steam trap testing is so important. The other thing I'll say is that a little bit of training goes a long ways. So find yourself a seminar online. I think ultrasonics is kind of settled as one of the best ways to do your steam trap troubleshooting. You certainly can use thermography and some other things. You just have to have a little bit better idea what you're looking for. But with ultrasonics, you can listen to that trap. And in some cases, for some styles of traps, we've even had success just using like a mechanic's stethoscope and put the probe on the top of the trap and hear it cycle, and we're good. Okay, it's cycling. But yeah, get online, get some training, find a course, and or train one of your people and have them go do a trap survey, because I think you'll find that if they fix just a couple of traps, they're saving an awful lot of money. Again, that Department of Energy tip sheet will give you a better idea of how much money you could be saving. I guess the last thing I'll say is the surest way to tell if you have a lot of traps blowing by is to look at the vent on that condensate receiver. If it's blowing hard, then there's a good chance that you have a substantial number of traps blowing by. So that's a good time to get a survey done and start doing something about it.